So good afternoon to one and all. Welcome for the first introduction class of SIM Laboratory for this current academic semester. I hope you people have studied the subject SIM already in your previous semester. Yes or no? Hello. Kindly reply.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. What you have studied in SIM? What do you mean by SIM exactly? Can you tell me?
Computer integrated manufacturing,
That
ma'am.
everyone knows. What you do in that basically?
Ma'am, we're using manufacturing using computers, ma'am.
We are manufacturing using computers.
Computer aided stuff, ma'am.
Computer aided stuffs. What are those stuffs called? Directly you will embed a computer into manufacturing and do it.
No, ma'am. During a production line, you use the help of computers to design stuff instead
Yeah.
of manufacturing directly itself, ma'am.
Yeah. So now, as per the technology is growing, even the manufacturing aspects which were not embedded with the computer is now embedded, and still future also after SIM also there are many things now which are being going on in manufacturing aspects. So let us brief out related to the manufacturing process before, with computer, and now in future how it will proceed as the technology is increasing day by day, and some part of hydraulics pneumatics related with the robotics. So this overall background picture will help you to proceed further in your sim labs. So basically, in sim we do the manufacturing part using G codes and M codes. So you should be familiar with all G codes and M codes, the syntax, everything. So in depth with that, we will go in the next class. So it is just an prerequisite kind of thing. What you should be aware about the concepts of SIM along with hydraulics and pneumatics. So related to this, we will be just dealing some important concepts. So if you have forgotten, you can kindly refresh it so that it will be helpful for you in the next classes. I just share my slide, just 2 seconds. What happened? Just 2 seconds. There is some. Yeah. I'm presenting my screen. Are the slides visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let us start up with a brief concept, what you have know already, and some highlights about the technical terms, and now what is exactly going on latest to the technology. So everything is one or the other way related to our manufacturing process. So we are fine-tuning the manufacturing process with the help of embedding computer concepts in different means. So everyone know what you mean by manufacturing, right? It is a process in which you convert the raw materials which are in hand into a device or a product. So in between the raw material and a product, many things comes into picture. First, you need to take the customer expectations, then you do the planning, you do the designing part, then you select the materials related to the properties which is needed, then you do the modeling, simulation, and then do a miniature kind of thing, what we call it as prototype, and then go for actual manufacturing. So manufacturing is a value added process which is very essential in any kind of business sector. So it could be any product the company is manufacturing. So it is applicable to all type of industries or the companies which is manufacturing one or the other product. And I told you already, so it involves a series of operations right from the design, material selection, planning, everything I've told here already, which has been mentioned. So looking to this diagram, you can have a pictorial view how it is a cyclic process. Without one segment, you cannot complete the entire manufacturing process. It results in delay. If you have everything in hand to do and the raw materials which are needed is not in existence, then you have to wait until you get the proper raw materials to start up, right? And you have the everything and you don't know the customer expectations. You haven't done the survey at all. So without that, you cannot do a proper planning and design. So everything are interconnected, either from raw material to the production, delivery of the product to the market, many marketing strategies, how you deliver the product to the market, whether it has been utilized by the customer exactly. Every product has a deadline and a life cycle period. So once that life cycle of the product is completed, it has to be disposed. Once it is disposed, it has to be recycled if it is an go green policy kind of a product. So again, all these depends upon which type of material you are selecting. Is it eco-friendly or it is toxic to the environment? So all things plays a very vital role in manufacturing. So this is the actual manufacturing which takes place without the concept of computer embedding, integrating into it. So you know how the human people evolved, the human evolution from the old age, right? So we have the ancestors of a human, right? So how the changes in human took place. Similarly, first we had a very good old type of cars with the four-wheelers, and now we have a mass production which could be done by the use of robots. And now instead of humans, the robots are replaced. These are nothing but the humanoid robots. So you can see how the first Stone Age people is now changed into an humanoid robot. All these are happening. Why? Due to evolution of technology day by day. You cannot expect or predict what's going to happen in our future. So many changes will happen depending upon the technologies, how it has been increasing. So based on that, even our manufacturing line is also increasing day by day. So just a second. Hope the screen is visible. Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is how the evolution of the technology has been going on. I just showed you an example here. So this is with respect to our technical aspect. Initially, we just had a mainframe based, and then the workstation and a mini type of computer came. Then we had a personal computer, then with a laptop. And now it is an era where we are using smartphones and even the sensors at micron, and nano level. So this is how the evolution of technology has helped to reduce the volume. Initially, the mainframe computers were too huge, big. And now from an actual scale to that of micron and nano level, we are coming. This is why due to the growth of the technology. So similarly, we have the computer-aided technologies, what we are using out. So mainly it starts with CAD, which is computer-aided design, in which the concept design will be converted into a detailed component modeling, then assembly modeling, a product layout, engineering drawing, everything will be interrelated with the tools also. Finally, once the CAD part is done, and then it goes to the manufacturing sectors. So you have different tools for manufacturing. So there are various CAD technologies which are associated in each and every stage. You know, you have different stages in manufacturing as well as design. So first one is the conceive stage. Then in the manufacturing, you have basically 5 stages. One is the conceive stage, then it comes the design, then it comes the development, and then it comes to the manufacturing. So finally, we do validate. So each sector here has different tools of computers. So these are the now currently available computer-aided technologies. So due to this computer-aided technologies, you can now see the design process, how it is being changed. This is the actual design process where the people used to follow to do the actual manufacturing without the concept of computers. And now we are integrating computer into our manufacturing process. So this is the flowchart for computer assisted operation. So here you can see usually we used to identify the problem, do the definition of it, do the geometrical modeling, and do the actual Pakka engineering analysis and optimization, then do the miniature prototype development and check whether it is working properly or not, and then go for manufacturing. This was the actual one. Now with the help of computers, we directly do the design on computer-aided design tool. Once the design is ready, we use any analysis platform. It could be like Abacus, your ANSYS, your Nastran, your whatever analysis platform we use to do the analysis of that particular design. And no need to do an actual prototype. You can do a virtual prototype also and check whether it is working properly. And to check that, we use the tool of computer-aided manufacturing. So you can manufacture it virtually and see. Until here, there'll be no cost of expenditure. You're just doing it in the system, right? So all these could be assisted with the help of computer numerical control machines, robots, this one, computer integrated manufacturing. So these are the tools which help us in achieving an product before the large scale production what we do. So this is how the technology is embedding our actual manufacturing to that of computer assisted one. So now you can see the change. This is the manufacturing support system. So where this is the production system, and now it is assisted with computer integrated manufacturing. Okay, so manufacturing support system will be facilitated with respect to all the equipments which are available in the factory. But now the potential automation applications will be embedded in the manufacturing sector, and you will be having potential computerization applications. So these two will play a vital role in supporting the manufacturing and all the equipments which are essential for our production system. So depending upon the material which you need to select, for also that there will be database in the software. If you select this type of hardened steel, what will be the properties of it? If you select some polymer, what will be the properties of it? So everything will be available in the database of the computer based on the softwares what you are using. So in this way, the computer integrated manufacturing tool helps in enhancement of the production in a very short period of time, and even the errors will be reduced, so you can get a good qualitative product at less period of time, so that you can do a lot of mass production, right? So this is just the same explanation, which are the activities which goes on in any manufacturing firm. So first you will get the order that you have to produce this kind of a product. So based on the order received, so order will be received with respect to the what we call the proposal or the grant what you are receiving, or if you are taking any contract from outside, so you or some government order. So based on that, the business sector people will function, and based on the business function, you will reveal the product design thing. So once it is done, then you go for manufacturing. Before manufacturing, you will plan how you are going to manufacture, and it has to be controlled because every project or the order will be having a start due date, beginning date, and an end date within which it has to be completed. So this manufacturing control aspect will control all these constraints. So within the due date, you can see that the materials are ready and the factory operations will be done one by one so that the product will be ready and delivered to the customer. So this is how an actual sequential activities which takes place in any manufacturing firm. So now I have told you about the CAD and the CAM, how it happens. So our SIM is nothing but the combination of computer-aided design and manufacturing, which yields for computer integrated manufacturing. So this is nothing but our SIM. So in actual, in Khitabi way of telling, so computer integrated manufacturing is a manufacturing approach of using computers basically to control the entire production process. See, you're using computers to put constraints and to control so that it will work systematically within the constraints and in a controlled manner. So this is the use of using a computer. Along with that, the SIM makes the use of many computer controlled machineries and also the automation systems. So when you add on automation systems, it reduces the amount of human power which is needed in manufacturing. So you can tell by default, SIM combines many technologies of both CAD as well as CAM to provide an error-free manufacturing process. So the error which come across will be to the least or negligible, right? Because it reduces the human labor, no manual labor will be more, and everything is automated and due to the repetitive task, and it will be programmed well. So no chance for errors. If sudden accidents come into picture due to some lacuna related to the equipments without maintenance or whatever, at that case you can expect some amount of error. So this is about basically what the SIM is. I told you basically it takes the computer assistance with the CAD and the CAM. So these two, CAD and CAM, will help in supporting or assisting the business data processing system and the manufacturing system. So based on that, the key SIM technologies, what you have to be aware of is nothing but computer networks, system design and analysis, distributed processing, database management, modeling and simulation, expert system, and quality engineering. All these factors plays a vital role in embedding SIM technologies to any product to be manufactured. How well the computer network is good enough in connecting related to various designs and analysis done at different departments. Once it has the data integrated together, so it can extract the information and it can do the processing part. And even though some people will be taking care of the database management, some will be focusing on design, some will be focusing on analysis, everything has to be connected, network connected, and hence computer networking plays a vital role in connecting the design people, analysis, processing people. Along with that, management of the data, database management also plays a vital role. So everything has to be connected into interlinked with each other, so that you will be able to communicate on time with the people and extract the data on time from other departments. Everything is okay. If quality is null, then it's of no use. And hence, you should also be having the quality aspect of it. So these all together are the key important roles played when you embed SIM into an manufacturing process. So here you can see a SIM wheel. What I told is related to the combination. So how a SIM wheel works. So the SIM wheel, basically what I'm telling is an integration of all these concepts. So this could be achieved only if an integrated system is architected very well. You say if a civil engineer constructs a building, and if the architect what you have hired is not good, the looks of it will not be proper. He tells the building is good, it is huge, but the looks are not better. So a good architecture should also be there, so that even though it works properly, it should look compact way, a systematic way of running without any lack of time, ideal time, and everything goes on in hand, even with respect to the technical aspect. So all these should be architected properly. So it has to gather the factory information, it has to gather the robotic product process, and it also has to gather the manufacturing planning and control sector. So factory information will give which are the materials needed, how it has to be processed, how it has to be tested, how it has to be assembled, how the materials has to be handled, what are the work assigned in the shop floor. Related to the factory, these people will give. So that has to be taken to the heart of our integrated system. Similarly, you need some other common data related to what is the material, what of its physical properties, how it changes with respect to the environment, schedule, when the particular task has to be started, when it has to be ended, right? And what is the level of quality, which is the need of the customer, how you plan to achieve that quality. And to plan and achieve that quality, what are the facilities which are available? How do you monitor? So all this data again has to be integrated into our system architecture. Along with this, we have the production sector. So the production people, if it is a huge lot of production, which has to be done in a huge lot from morning to evening, the human beings cannot work continuously. So it again depends whether you're using robotics or the persons with respect to the shift in order to achieve the task assigned by the factory people. So it has to gather the information of robotics, if it is robots, and then analysis and verification has to be done, whether it has been programmed properly, whether it will work properly, and whether it is fit to do this much amount of task with the energy associated in robotics, right? So because you need a proper recharging of the robotics in time, what is the amount of work or the capacity of that particular robot to do the manufacturing process, everything has to be needed. And they cannot blindly go with the analysis report. They should also have the documentation part in the production process related to all the steps which has to be carried out. So all these together has to be fed into the integrated system architecture, right? So based on the data collected and the information, then these aspects will control in a proper way to see that the manufacturing process goes very systematically. So this is how a sim wheel works on in any manufacturing process. So that's what I have explained. So you'll be having a part of computer-aided design, prototype manufacturing, and determining which is the efficient method for manufacturing. So when you have all the data and the software enabled to it, it can do the analysis and select and tell you which is the best design aspect, which is the method better to synthesize or to manufacture, because when you manufacture, the cost might be very high or medium. So you should see when it is economical, it is affordable, and the production methods also should be very user-friendly, right? And you should be having it is not like you will manufacture a very lot and there is no space for storage. So depending upon the storage availability, you have to fix the number of the devices what you're going to manufacture. So all these will be involved in our sim. So also ordering the necessary materials which are needed if it is not there, and also the computer-aided manufacturing of the product with the help of various numerical controllers. So this is how in depth the operations goes on in computer integrated manufacturing. So once you know the concept of sim, how it is different from manufacturing, now you should realize which are the advantages of sim. So by using sim, the error reduction will be very much. So it will be having a negligible amount of error associated in any part what you're manufacturing using sim, right? So the speed, you can manufacture the product within short period of time, and you'll be having flexibility because everything is now computerized, design, material selection, everything. If any complexion arise in the design process, you will be having the flexibility to change the design, modify it, right? And if you have any problem in the selected material, you can again select a different material and check how this material is working. So you have this flexibility kind of thing before you do the actual manufacturing, right? So these are the advantages. And fourth one is integration. Integration is a major advantage because you can integrate the entire data related to any manufacturing system with the help of sim. So these are the advantages of sim. So that's what here. First one is the error reduction. Why error reduction comes into picture? Because it reduces or wind up the human into the work. Human beings are always sometimes do some manual errors. That is our nature. So it cannot be helped. Even though we'll be very much conscious in working, sometimes some error can come across. So using this sim technology, it helps in reduction of the error because number of human working will be very much less and assignment of work also will be less. And hence, all the factory floor operations which are assigned to robots or any other tools or the robot arms or whatever it is, it helps in reducing the error rate. So if you just tackle to check the error rate of the production before and after using sim, you can see that the error graph drastically come down as I'm showing here. Next is speed. When you manufacture the product with respect to sim environment, I told you it reduces the time because it can manufacture in less amount of time. You are not using human beings here, and as a result, you can see the increase in the speed of the parts which is being manufactured or the products. Suppose if you take 1 year to manufacture a single huge complex machine, by the use of sim, it could be reduced to 4 to 5 months. So you'll be having more time to increase the number of other products what you're manufacturing. So instead of one product, you can manufacture like around 2, 3 along with it parallelly. So it helps in improving the performance of the manufacturing of any particle, and it could be easily assembled, right? So the flow of products to the customer will increase, and even the confidence of the people in the company increases. Even the customers will be happy to see many products in the market. So these are the advantages. I told you flexibility again. With SIM, companies quickly react to the market conditions. Suppose when the company manufactures some product, the need was different. So by the time they manufacture and put the product into the market, the need of the market might have been changed. So if you implement the SIM concepts, so they can quickly modify to the changing marketing conditions. That shows how flexible the company becomes by implementing SIM into it. Okay, so this is about the flexibility part. And lastly, I told you integration. SIM offers a great degree of integration that enables flexibility, speed, reduction of error, which is very much essential to compete in today's market with other companies who are manufacturing same kind of products. So with this integration, it really helps to compete against the competitors and to grab the market at a quicker stage. And due to grabbing of the market, it helps in increasing the sales and profit and GDP of also that particular product. So this is how the integration staff helps in enhancing the profit of a particular company. So the usage of SIM is well versed not only in mechanical engineering, in other engineering streams as well. So one could be in mechanical engineering, industrial and production engineering, even in electronic design, where automation plays a vital role. Many kind of printed circuit board design, integrated circuit design. So all this kind of things could be done, which is nothing but our industrial automation, right? So these are the usage of SIM. Along with that, the other devices which are helpful for our SIM is our robotics, computers, the software what we use. And remember, nothing can work without having a beautiful control systems. Only with a controller also it won't work. You should be having a proper network and interfacing system so that it can tackle with the manufacturing, design, robotics, and also software part only by the means of computers. So with the help of computers, all the things will be integrated together, and with a beautiful controller and a networking system, you can fine tune in extracting all the data needed and perform the task. So these are the devices which are in essential to do the manufacturing with respect to SIM. And what are the technologies associated in SIM? So one is the flexible manufacturing system, automated storage and retrieval system, automated guided vehicle, automated conveyance system, and robotics. So these are the associated technologies or the technologies embedded along with the SIM. So you have to see how flexible you can manufacture any system. A system could be manufactured in many different processes. In actual manufacturing by embedding SIM, and by embedding SIM also to see how flexible your design is, how you can modify, how it is able to substantiate with the external changes, whether it is so suitable in making the changes in any sort of time. Okay, so this shows how flexible your manufacturing system is. Some manufacturing system will be so adhering to a step-by-step process. If sudden change happens or the demand changes, you won't be able to make some changes and continue that flow of manufacturing system. So it needs a breakdown and again recontinuation, but that won't happen with the help of our flexible manufacturing system. Along with that, automated storage and retrieval system also plays a vital role, which is called in short as ASRS. So how do you retrieve the system with respect to the storage capacity what you are? How the storage capacity could be automated. So all these things you will learn in case of technologies of SIM. And next is automated guided vehicle. So it is like unmanned vehicle which will drive by itself without the human being intervention, and hence you call this as automated guided vehicle. So there are many type of this: unmanned air vehicles, unmanned submarine vehicles, right? so which are in practice already in today's world. And last one is automated conveyance system and robotics. With the controller, with the beautiful part of the networking system, we can design beautiful robots which are able to do the assigned task in an automated manner. So that will come into picture in later stages. So these are the technologies available with respect to SIM. Even though it has beautiful advantages, reduced amount of error, there are some challenges in SIM which has to be addressed and overcome. What are these challenges? One is the integration of components from different suppliers. I told you, you are very easily saying that looking at the SIM wheel, all the things could be gathered and it could be structured in the architecture system, right? But gathering all this data, integrating all these components and its information into a single respiratory system is very difficult, and it takes large period of time, right? So it is very difficult and challenging. If you do it for the first time, it really takes many what we call many risk, and also it takes many turns in getting the required integration. Once you're done for the first time, then you will understand like what are the challenges, how you can adjust to get the data, and how you can segregate everything into a single shot. So this is one of the challenge which is there. Along with that, the data integrity. You will collect all the data, but integration of all these data related to the required flow is also a challenge. Every data what you get will be of different aspect. The factory people will give the data related to that, the production people will give, the material people will give, right? Apart from that, you'll be having the market sector, everything. So how do you correlate this data such that it will flow systematically when needed? So integrity of this data is very much important and also a challenging task. And finally, the control aspect, the process control. So many things are going in sequential, sometimes one by one. The entire process becomes complex when you're embedding computer concepts to the manufacturing. So how all the process will be controlled in a proper way such that it will go one by one without any what we call barrier in between. So even the controlling the entire process is a challenging task. So these are the challenges which are available. So I explained you, the same thing has been given here. Integration of components from different suppliers. Okay, because you will get the components from different suppliers. You might be using CNC, you might be using robots, which are given from different suppliers. So how do you integrate these components? Because it will be manufactured in different ways. So it has to go in flow with respect to the problem what you are assigning. Okay, so these all should be taken care. If you're using the robot, it has to be charged for some particular period of time. The robots manufactured from different company will be having different specification, configuration, and charging of those will be again in different tasks. So all this you should adjust, and what are the time required to manage all, so that even the time schedule will be having all these constraints. So based on the charging, which is the time needed, so when you can start, when you can make the robot to work, when it has to be stopped. So all these things has to be calculated and integrated, right? So it takes a very complex type of mode of work, truly telling. Data integrity, I told you already. So it will be very high with respect to the automation level what you are going with. With a high degree of automation, the data integrity also will be at the higher rates. So, and it becomes more critical and integrating the data with respect to the machines. Okay, so this is how the challenges are. And the last one is the process control. I told you, so this is just with an diagram to explain. So computer may be used to assist the human operators, you know that, but there must always be competent engineers on hand to handle the circumstances. You cannot relay entire thing on the machines. Okay, it is automated, technology is embedded, robot is there to work, it will do it. So let us sit on chair and take rest and have a good nap. No, if you do like this, sometimes even the process can be like abrupt. Okay, so always there should be an engineer who is well versed with the technology and well versed with the manufacturing process also. So someone has to be monitoring the entire system, how it is being operated, okay, whether it is under control or not. If something is going wrong all of a sudden in accidentally, so you should be able to manage and tackle and to overcome these problems. So these are the challenges associated. So until now we discussed about what is manufacturing, how you can embed the computer technologies so that you can get computer integrated manufacturing, which are its key factors, how it operates, which are its errors, advantages, disadvantages, and also the challenges associated. Then it is a small slide showing you the advantages and disadvantages. So advantages are it is very responsive for a shorter type of product life cycle. If it is a huge product with a huge big type of product life cycle, then it will not be too keen in advising sim type of manufacturing. So one other advantage is it has a better process control, which emphasizes the product quality and uniformity. And also it supports and coordinate different exchange of information. That is the data exchange and integration, whatever it is. Then design components, it can provide the required design components if you're doing a part drawing, a part assembling, whatever, because every part will be already available in the software, like the material which has to be used, the existing part design which you want to do, which are the parts you have to take, like how it will be assembled. So everything will be in the database, so you can check. So these are all the advantages. And also one more advantage is it decreases the cost of production and maintenance, because the intervention of human being is less. And apart from that, why the cost gets reduced is you will just manufacture only at the end. Everything will goes on computer related only, and hence these are the advantages. What are some disadvantages? If a person starts doing work with sim, all of a sudden he feels that the technologies used are unfamiliar, so he needs to be trained in it first. And secondly, it requires major change in corporate culture. Some will be used off to the normal manufacturing process and they say, we were happy with the old manufacturing process. This all is coming now. It is truly hectic and we are not interested in it. So this type of some corporate culture also will be there, which has to be changed. It cannot be changed all of a sudden. It takes certain period of time. All right. So this is one of the drawback, but it is not a major drawback. It could be fine-tuned. And then reduction in short-term profit. So investment in many things related to the technologies, you cannot opt to get the profit in a very short period of time. It has to establish itself, substantiate. Then after some 1 or 2 years of implementation of SIM, you can expect the profit. But in short-term gaining is little bit less. So it has reduction in short-term profit thing, and perceived risk is high. This is one of the disadvantage. The amount of risk which is perceived is high because everything should go on systematically as per planned. If something goes off all of a sudden, then it is at the higher risk. Okay, so this is one of the disadvantage. And lastly, the maintenance cost will be a little bit higher as it is being run by the sophisticated machines and technologies. So proper maintenance is needed, and this cost is little bit expensive. And initial implementation of SIM to any industry is also an high amount what they have to implement. So it has plus points as well as minus point. Any technology or any product will be having its own advantages and disadvantages. So these are about it. So this was about SIM. You have studied what is manufacturing, you know what is SIM. But apart from SIM, there are many things now which are going on. One is a smart manufacturing, digital manufacturing, IoT, AI and ML. So all these are playing a very important role in manufacturing aspects. Okay, so there is nothing much to do with this present scenario in your syllabus. I am just throwing out some information so that you can keep in your head. Apart from SIM, also you have the other parts. Okay, so one is the smart manufacturing. Here you can see a smart factory. Everything is being embedded in a smart way, because you'll be having the sensors and the actuators which can sense which is needed, and accordingly it will send a signal for the actuators, and the actuating will apply into the active type of work. So sensors will be a passive type of smart work, what they do, and the actuators will do the active based type of work. So embedding these concepts will help in making the manufacturing thing very smart. Okay. So if you embed this kind of thing, you can able to make the design changes very rapidly. You can gather the information in a digital way, and it will be very flexible to work with the technical workforce. So the main goal here in smart manufacturing will be to accept the changes very fastly and put forward into the production based on the demand. You will be doing something, all of a sudden 3-4 demands from the market comes into picture. We need this, these are the requirement. If you go in a normal factory strategy of manufacturing process, you cannot satisfy these demands. You should be able to be more flexible. To be more flexible, you should adopt smart manufacturing. So this is one of the concept. Second one is digital manufacturing. So this digital manufacturing is used in the world of integrated systems, in which the computer-based system plays a vital role with the simulation, 3D visualization, analytics, collaboration tools. So with these steps, you can create the product and manufacture digitally. So this digital manufacturing involves all the manufacturing activities, right from design for manufacturability. So this design for manufacturability is nothing but how is the design is for manufacturing. Suppose you make a smartphone and it is based on design for manufacturability, and there is some demand of the customer. So the design should be very easy so that it can fit into the demand of the customer, and with the same board of design you can make some fine-tuned changes so that the existing smartphone could be changed as per the requirement. So this happens if the design of the board is as per design for manufacturability. So this DFM again comes under design for X, right? So it has 6 criteria. In that, design for manufacturability is 1. So along with this DFM, our CIM will be integrated, flexible manufacturing system will be integrated, so that you will come out with digital manufacturing. So this is how the existing SIM can be put forward with respect to different type of manufacturing systems which are now coming on. And next is IoT, which is nothing but Internet of Things. So there are essentially 2 different roles where an IoT can play in a manufacturing process. Okay, so one is it can connect the things that make your product into machine or equipment, right? Or else you can tap into the data what you have collected or generated from your products and make those products very smart. So these are the 2 ways where IoT plays a vital role in manufacturing. Okay, so IoT has many applications in manufacturing plants. It can facilitate the type of the production flow in any manufacturing plant, and it can also help in making the various type of cycles to be monitored automatically. So every product will be having a development cycle. So it could be monitored automatically to see that the development cycle is going on properly without any problems, right? So in this way, precautions can be taken before error comes into picture. So if you take the precautions before by monitoring it automatically, error word will not come into picture at all. So this is where IoT plays a vital role. And last but not the least is our artificial intelligence. So this AI and ML concept is now making its way into manufacturing process also. It is not that it is restricted only to computers, IS, or whatever it is. It plays a vital role in each and every sector of engineering, including our mechanical engineering also, right? So it is nothing but embedding how the human brain works to embed intelligence to any part which are being manufactured. So if you embed this concept of intelligence to the machine what you are going to manufacture, it will be able to tackle the problems and adjust themselves to the external stimulation, external environment, and take the decisions. as a human being does. Okay, so this is how an intelligence should be there in any product what we manufacture. So this will happen if you try to embed this AI concept in each and every machine component which is going to be manufactured. Okay, so this is about AI and ML. And lastly, it has not come yet. In future, you can get the chance of getting cloud-based manufacturing also. Okay, so how a normal manufacturing could be transferred until cloud-based. You can see you have first the manufacturing process, and then you have manufacturing process with respect to our SIM, and then it comes about smart manufacturing, digital, IoT, and finally AI and ML based, ending now towards cloud-based manufacturing. So here you will be having an operator, you'll be having a consumer, you'll be having a cloud drop, and you'll be having a person who will provide the required data. So no one will come in personal to do the work. Everyone will be there at their locations of geography where they are located. Just a second. Yes, sir.
15 ml 77.
17 amina, 15 amina.
70.
Okay.
Mail just mail.
I think so. Thank you. Sorry, there was some emergency. So now the operator will be, he might be located in one of the country. The manufacturing people might be located in other location of the world. The consumers, the need of the market might be in some other geographical location. So everyone will be in a different area. They won't come in actual to discuss what is wanted, what has to be manufactured. Everything will be done on cloud based, means it will be done in a very virtual way, and to see that the need has been satisfied and the system is working properly without error, then only the actual manufacturing comes into picture. So this is how now they are planning about for cloud-based manufacturing, right? So this is about our manufacturing SIM and the latest trend associated with. So this is one section. You have in SimLab related to all the programming, what you have to do to perform different operations. You have different G codes, M codes, and operation syntax, what you follow with respect to the SIM. Apart from that, you have some demo experiments, what you have to work out based on hydraulics and pneumatics with the help of robots as well. So I'm just dealing you with some information related to hydraulics and pneumatics. It is very less information what I'm giving you, just because you have studied it already, just refreshing you. So you know what you mean by a fluid power system. So these are the systems which are used to transmit the assemblies which are being employed and do the pressurized way of work to get the required energy transmitted. So it could be either a liquid pressurization or an gas pressurization. Okay, so analysis of the fluid at the state of rest or motion with respect to change in the pressurization, you will evaluate what is the energy being transmitted, right? So this fluid power can be divided into two concepts. One is the hydraulics and the pneumatics. You know what you mean by hydraulics and pneumatics as well. So hydraulics, it employs a pressurized liquid and it do the analysis and identify which is the energy being transmitted. Similarly, pneumatics do work only based, the media here for the flow is only gas. In case of hydraulics, the flow of media is liquid. So you'll be employing a liquid which is under pressure, and in pneumatics, you'll be employing a gas which is under compressed state. Okay, so this is a difference basically for our hydraulics and pneumatics. So you know that hydraulics was derived again from a Greek word. Hydra means water, allos means pipe. Okay, so the water flowing through the pipe is nothing but what we do, how the water is flowing through the pipe when the pressure increases, when it strikes the blade of any turbine, what happens. Okay, so all these things will take care related to our hydraulics, which has the origination from its Greek word. So in simple language, you can tell that it is a science of transmitting force or motion through a medium under a confined liquid. And then comes to our pneumatic systems. So I told that in pneumatic system, the gas is under compressed state. It could be air or any type of gas. Okay, so this describes whether it is possible to force air an object into a smaller space than it normally occupies. So as air will occupy some space. So if you compress the air, so you can try that what is the minimum amount of space needed to fit that equal quantity of air into it. Okay, so this is about the actuation process using a pneumatic system. Just for example, you have a sponge, right? If you compress a sponge, you can squeeze it to the very small size. How much, it depends upon how much pressure you are applying onto the sponge. So this is nothing but the concept of pneumatic system. Along with that, you should know what you mean by electro-pneumatic system. So it is with the same concept of pneumatic system, but when you embed electro part into the pneumatic system, what happens? You are adding some actuator and controller into it, adding some electronic components to it. Okay, so here the tools that is worked using the air pressure, airflow, and a controlled way. Okay, so this will be helpful to devise the electro-pneumatic systems. Just a second. Hello. हेलो मैं क्लास में हूँ, बात करती हूँ. मेगो, आई विल कॉल यू बैक. Okay, I'm sorry. So this electro-pneumatic is a system which will be having some part of actuator and some part of controller. So this actuator will help in actuating the activities, right? So it will sense, and as per that it provides a decision which has to be done. So to make this actuator work, you should be having some controller, right? So this controller will be associated with some electrical circuit. So with the help of this actuator, you can do the required work. So this normal pneumatic system can be made as an electro-pneumatic system. So the working using electro-pneumatic system will be more feasible and convenient than that of normal pneumatic system. So you will be using the pneumatic systems, hydraulic systems with the robots. So you know what you mean by a robot. It is not a new area for me to explain you again, but still just a small brief introduction. So it is also a mechanical device that performs a human task. So the task could be done either automatically or by remote controlled way, right? So robotics, you can tell as it is a study and application of robot technology to any area of application where it is needed. And apart from robots, we have telerobotics also. So the robot that is operated remotely are called as telerobots. So with this information, you can tell that it is a machine which can do multifunctional based on the program which has been fed, and it could be reprogrammable also if any multifunctional task has to be changed. So it is something like a manipulator which can be manipulated with respect to different amount of designs based on the movement of the material, the parts or the tools or any specialized devices through various programmed motions for the performance of variety of tasks. It is not like one robot will do one particular task. So it is always readily available to any type of task, not only one task at a time, it can do 2 to 3 more tasks at a time. So it depends upon how well you are programming it to make a robot multifunctional. So this was defined as robot by the person from the Robot Institute of America. The general information about a robot. So robots are developed nowadays from normal L1, L2, L3. We call that this is L1 level robotics, this is L2 level robotics, this is L3 level robotics. Why? These are based on the laws of robotics which was proposed by Asimov. Okay, so initially it started with level 1 robotics, level 2, level 3, right? And then telerobots came, and after that now you have there were many robots in which gradually they started adding intelligence, and after that it is a stage where the humanoid robot is there in today's world. There are like around 6 to 7 humanoid robots which are developed successfully across the world with the 60 to 65% of intelligence of human being, how they can think and how they can tackle the things. But 100% achievement in making a humanoid robot is not still done, but they have a target of like by 2050, the robo has to be there similar to that of human mankind. So that is a target where the research people are working on. Okay, that is a part. So now just the laws here. So what does the law 1 tells? It is a robo, okay, may not injure a human being or through inaction. It allows a human being to come to harm. Okay, so this is based on these 3 basic laws, the robo is designed. A robo, what you design, it should not injure a human being. It should just allow the work to be completed successfully, okay, and not making the human being come into the harm. The second law is a robo must always obey the orders given to it by the human beings, because he is the person who will program depending upon what work is assigned to him. So the robo should abide to all the rules and regulations put forward by the human beings. Okay, so he has to expect all such orders, right? And he should obey the law 1 also. If it is not enabled, if either law 1 is not satisfied or law 2 is not satisfied, it is in danger if you manufacture a robo without following these laws. Okay, or else the day may approach where a robo can replace a human being. Okay, that should not happen. A robo should be in the place where it has to be. A human should be in the place where he has to be. But with the help of robo, we have to move ahead with the increasing rate of technologies. So to achieve that, all these laws has to be satisfied. And last law is a robo must protect its own existence. As long as such type of protection is done, there'll be no conflict with respect to the law 1. Means a robo should always protect its own existence. If he's doing the work assigned and he is following all the rules of human being, and if he's not able to protect himself, then what is the use of developing the robo? Okay, so these are all the 3 laws which has to be followed.
Okay, please.
So next is about a robot control loop. So how it robo works and how it could be controlled in a loop. So you know that you should have a sensor, you should have an actuator, and you should have a controller. So sensor will do the work of sense, actuator will do the work of what to be act, and the controller will be working or thinking like a human brain. So based on the sense, what the data it has been input, it can listen the speech, it can visualize, it can observe the speed, the acceleration, it can feel the temperature, position, distance, the touch, magnetic field. So based on the input data, the robot can sense. So based on the sensing, the signal will be transmitted to the actuator. Okay, so sorry, the thing will be sent to the controller. Okay, that the controller will decide which should be the instructions given to the actuator. So based on that, the decision will be taken by the actuators. Okay, the sense that has human being sense, so that in that way the sensor will sense. And as the human brain thinks, the controller will think, and he will provide the set of instructions. Based on the instructions, the actuator will act and see that the task is completed. So this is a common loop any robo of whatever configuration have to follow. So this is about the entire description about manufacturing, the sim, hydraulics, pneumatics, as well as the robot, which is an essential prerequisite for your sim lab. Hope it is thorough. I will just start telling about your syllabus. Hope it was understandable. Are you people there? Hello? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So this is the syllabus. Okay. The syllabus here is written as 15 series. It is not 15, it is 17 MEL 77. Okay, I could not edit that, I'm sorry. So now only I just received an updation. It is of scheme 17 and not 15. So here you have an SE marks of 80 and CIA marks of 20. So examination duration will be of 3 hours, right? So it is a 2-credit course. So the objective basically, what you will be learning here is the students will be exposed to the techniques of CNC programming, how a manual CNC programming, part programming is being done. So how you do the part programming using the CAM packages like CAPSMIL, CAPSTURN and all. Okay, so to do this type of programming, it is very essential for you to be aware of G codes and M codes. So you will study what are G codes, what are M codes. So with this, it will help you to see the entire part, how it is manufactured by using CNC simulation software. So this is the one learning objective as a student under this lab. So second one is it also helps the students to use the CAM packages. So you will be well versed with various CAM packages. And lastly, the learning objective is this is just a demo, not an in examination you won't get, but you may get the Viva questions based on learning objective 3. So here the students will understand the importance of automation in industry with the exposure to flexible manufacturing system, robotics, hydraulics, and pneumatics. So you may get the Viva voice questions. You should be thorough with FMS, robotics, hydraulics, and pneumatics. This you have studied already. You can just refresh on it and be ready for the Viva voice. So we have two parts in our sim lab. One is part A and part B. So in part A, you have two sections. One is developing manual CNC part programming. Another one is CNC part programming using CAM packages. So here we'll be using CAPSMIL or any other type of packages. We usually use CAPSMIL and CAPSTURN. CAPSMIL for milling operation, CAPSTURN for turning operations. So before going with the CAM packages, first you will write the manual part programming for the given product. Okay, so you'll write the manual part programming for 2 turning operations and for 2 milling operations. You have studied which are the turning operation which comes into picture with respect to lathe and milling machine, right? So any 2 turning operations and any 2 milling operations, you will write the program manually, and then you will check the syntax if any error is there by using G codes and M codes. And then you will use CAPSTURN and CAPSMIL, and there you will write the program, okay, in the software, and you will run the simulation and see whether you are getting properly or not. So it is the reverse. So you have 2 parts in part A. So next is part B. I think part A I have covered fully, right? Yeah, I told this CAPSMIL. Okay. The part B. So in part B, we'll be having flexible manufacturing system. This is purely theoretical, and we have the equipments related to FMS and robot programming, related to pneumatics and hydraulics also. Here, the demo version will be shown to you how the hydraulics and pneumatic equipments can be operated, and how a program and how a robot can be programmed so that the robo arm could be moved to pick and drop the any product or devices. So this demo version will be taught. So in practical examination, they won't ask you any experimentation based on robot programming, hydraulics and pneumatics. It is only for demo version. They might ask the questions related to it in Viva voice. So you should be thorough with robot programming, hydraulics and pneumatics. Apart from that, even the flexible manufacturing system, how it is changing the manufacturing system, how it can be interfaced with regular CNC machine, milling machine, okay? So all these type of things, theoretically, you should be ready. So this is about part B. And now coming to the scheme of evaluation, in the examination, you will be given 2 questions. Both the 2 questions from part A. One is for turning operation and one is for milling operation. Okay, so one for turning operation, marks assigned will be 30, and one milling operation, marks assigned will be 30. So totally you will be having 60 marks. Apart from that, you will be having the Viva voice based on robot programming, hydraulics, pneumatics, and it can also come with respect to SIM, G codes, M codes, and syntax of these codes, how you use, for which type of operation. Any questions related to the entire syllabus can come under Viva voice, which falls for the marks of 20. So finally, 60 plus 20 is the 80 marks, what you will be getting under scheme for examination. This is for final examination. Apart from that, you have IA marks of 20. Okay, so in that aspect, you have to maintain the record, write the record regularly, the introduction part, and then start up with the programming for all type of operations manually and by using Capstone and Capsmil. So for entire record, what you write, for every record write-up and procedure, you have a marks of 4. Okay, and after writing the program, you show the simulation in the system. So for that simulation, you have 6 marks. Sorry. And for every experiment, we will ask you the Viva. So that is for 2 marks. So finally, the marks for record is 12. Total marks for the record is 12, in which every program, what you write in the record is for 4 marks. The simulation, what you show in the system is for 6 marks. And Viva, what we ask for each experiment is 2 marks. So totally the record will be for 12 marks. And then we will make you do the test, internal test, the laboratory test. And that is assigned for 8 marks. So finally 12 plus 8 will fall for 20 marks. So this is how you have to follow the rubrics for evaluation for your record as well as examination. Hello.
Ma'am.
Yes. Yeah.
Ma'am, can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, I can hear you. Tell me.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, ours is 60-40 scheme, ma'am.
Okay. That's what, no. Yeah, just now they told, okay, I'm showing you 15 schemes, 60-40. Fine, then that will be for 40. I will just show you while we start up in the next class then. What information we got before the session was 15 scheme. Now only when I was making the session, Umashankar sir came and showed that it has been changed. So with respect to that, it will be 60-40. Then the same thing will be manipulated such that instead of 20, you will be having the 40 part here. If it is 40 here, then it is 6. This will also gets changed, right? So it is 30 and 30. So finally, it will be 60. Okay, so in 60, again, you will be having 2 questions from part A. It will be for 40 marks. Then it will be divided into 20 and 20. Okay, so 40 plus 20 marks of Viva Voice, which will be for 60. So this is how the changes will be in the scheme of evaluation. Hope now it is clear. Hello. Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so next is about G codes, M codes, all these I will take in the next class. What is the, these are, I've just drafted, if time permits, let me tell, it is 3 o'clock. Fine, so next, the things related to sim, manufacturing, robotics, the syllabus, everything. And now you have to do the part programming manually and by using Capstone and Capsmil. For that, the G codes and M codes is very much important. So all the codes what we use will help you to move the manufacturing system in a proper way. So you have many G codes, like G00 is for rapid travels, G01
Ma'am, we'll do
is
this
for...
next class, ma'am, because we can remember it better, ma'am.
Yeah, that's what I told you. If I tell also, it will be over your head right now. I'm just telling you, these are the things what we have to go in depth with syntax in the next class. Okay. So it is about G codes and M codes, what we deal in the next class with the syntax in a different slide. So for right now, I will stop here. If you have any doubts, you can free to.
Ma'am, how will we learn online, ma'am, the codes and everything?
Yeah, that's what. We will be, I will be recording the entire software programming type and how we do the simulation. Okay, so that I will play here in the Google Meet and I will explain you. Any doubts in between, you can interrupt and ask me. Okay, so every step and the programming, how it has to be written, what are the prerequisites, what things you have to add on, which one you have to make enable, which you have to make disable for which type of operation, everything I'll be telling you. And I'll be showing you in the recorded one. Okay. So you will see in actual how a programming is written, how the simulation of that is done, and if any error comes, how that error has to be overcome. So you'll come to know how you have to operate the software to do the programming and get the simulation of the part which has been assigned to you. Because this is an paid version of the software, we cannot share it to you for your laptop, your system to install and do it. Even we cannot take that software to our system and install. We have to go to the lab, do the entire programming. While doing the programming, we have to take the recording, and that recording we have to play here in the system and make you understand each and every step. Okay.
Ma'am, how many experiments are there?
See, there are many experiments. As per your syllabus, you have to show some 3 to 4 turning and 3 to 4 milling operations. But for your practice, we will do roughly 8 to 10 operations on turning, 8 to 10 operations on milling, and completing all within a semester is very difficult. We sometimes do 2 programmings a day when it was in-person lab physically when we used to do. So now we are doing it for the first time online. So we have to see that we will cover the maximum part of it. Anyhow, they say from next month, the offline classes will be started. So I just think about let that come in near future at the earliest so we can do still better.
Because ma'am, last time when they taught us ANSYS online,
Mm-hmm.
we didn't understand anything. We, for internals also, whatever experiment was taught online, we didn't study that.
You didn't study that.
No, ma'am, because we didn't understand it.
Okay, no, that happened all of a sudden. No one was knowing that Corona came all of a sudden, and it takes time even for the students as for the faculty how to correlate the software type of lab in online. So now everything is systematic. I have solved already 3 to 4 programs using the software, and I will play the same thing. I will
Ma'am.
pause and I will explain you. Yeah, please.
Ma'am,
tell me.
the thing
Yeah.
is, if you present like last time when you presented some video, no ma'am, it was lagging for us, no ma'am. So how will we happen to overcome that, ma'am?
That wasn't direct video recording. It is just an recording with step by step. Okay, I will pause the audio. I will just play the video. I myself will explain you each and every step. In between any discrepancy also, you kindly let me know.
Okay,
And
ma'am.
please adjust until the situation comes on. Because see, this time the practical examination, everything will be there. Everything has to be done systematically. It cannot be blindly passed out with the IA marks. So be responsible. Okay. So with respect to the situation, what best we can do it. And hopefully we are thinking when you people will come back in person so that it will be a little bit still better. Until then, we will try our level best to make you people understand. Okay. Hello.
Understood, ma'am.
Yeah. So can I take the attendance now? Abdul? Abdul is there? Akhil? Anil Kumar? It's not like you
Yes,
log
ma'am.
in and you go somewhere to whom it has been explained. Anil is present. Gautam?
Yes, ma'am.
Balaji?
Yes, ma'am.
Basavraj?
Yes, ma'am.
Beldar?
Yes, ma'am.
See, if you're not able to answer, kindly reply at least yes in the chat room so that I'll come to know that you are there. Chandan,
Present, ma'am.
Chetan Kumar, Chetan Kumar, okay. Dheeraj, Dheeraj,
Yes, ma'am.
yeah. Ashant,
Yes, ma'am.
Harshit,
Yes, ma'am.
Himanka,
Yes, ma'am.
Kanishka,
Yes, ma'am.
Kole Parashri, Naga,
Yes,
Murali,
ma'am.
Kunal, Rajkiran,
Present, ma'am.
Mohammed. Kindly respond, Mohammed. NS Sri Prasad.
Present, ma'am.
Okay, Mohammed is also present. I hope all of you have written your name and USN number in the chat room. Please kindly, it has to be recorded for your attendance purpose strictly. If anyone have not written, I can see only few students here. Kindly type your name and USN. So in the next class, I will be dealing you with respect to what are the importance of G codes and M codes, which are the operations what we can perform, and for which what are the syntax you have to use. So you have to follow the syntax properly so that you will not get any errors when you run the simulation of the program, or else solving those errors itself will be a big time consuming part. So it will be a little bit complicated. So you please see that you understand the syntax and follow it properly, and you should be able to identify the coordinate system. If you go wrong in identifying the coordinate system, even though the syntax is right, you will come across any errors. So see that you understand all the G codes and M codes properly and learn the syntax well. So from the third class, we can start up with the programming. So next class, we will just study in depth G codes and M codes and what are its syntax. Fine. So have everyone written your name and USN? Anyone who haven't written, please. What is the total strength of your batch B1? Anyone can kindly respond?